You shared about how you get in your own way. Um, I get in my own way too. Mine is a little bit different, but I get in my own way sometimes by trying to be that girl.
That drama cool though, right? I think my baby hot, don't speak to any moment. Product of her environment, shout out the global woman. Can't box her in with any trend, no, she's a global woman. Call fire, Marshall Bill, like, let me tell you something. Flawless, beautiful, follow codes down to her toes. Cuticles, picking rolls with the flow. Slam dunking all the goals. Silvers for the novice and golds for the pros.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to say what's up to everyone out there in TV land. Today I'm going to be hosting our show. We're doing part 3 of Getting in Your Own Way. And today we'll be talking with Angel, who is allowing herself to be vulnerable and is going to share with us today. So, looking forward to today's conversation and learning a little bit more about you, Angel. We can go ahead and do introductions. My name is Kyra from California.
And
I'm Tina
Obi,
from Chicago. I'm sorry, Obi.
yeah, not surprised, Sheena. I'm Obi, I'm from North Carolina.
I'm Angel from Charlotte, North Carolina.
And this is the Nutz and Boltz show. And we're not doing it today, Obi, not with a 3-to-1 ratio.
Wait a minute, I'll go second. She jumped the gun. Typical, typical.
All right. As I mentioned before, today we're focusing on Angel, and she's going to share a little bit about something that she's done to get in her own way. Angel, tell us what you have.
So, like I said the last time, I get in my own way by trying to be that girl sometimes. So, I don't know if you guys remember that old song by New Edition, You're Not My Kind of Girl. It's not your looks, not the way, not your smile. It's not the way you carry yourself. You're just not my kind of girl.
Mhm.
So I would get in my way because sometimes I would be trying to be that girl. And I promise that song was like the theme song of my life for a period of time, you know?
Right.
Just really, I guess, trying to fit in. I would even use the term compromise, you know, like who I was. And, you know, constantly get in that whole, like, it's not you, it's me kind of thing. You know, and I'm like, well, what the heck is going on? Like, you know, I'm smart, you know, I'm kind, I'm gentle, I feel like I'm pretty and I, you know, I can be sexy too, you know, but it just seemed like I just could not find that balance. And so it took me a long time, you know, unfortunately, to figure out that it wasn't so much that they weren't the kind of, that I wasn't the kind of girl for them as much as it was that they were not the kind of guy for me. And so I had to try to figure out what that was. And so it was more of my focus on the rejection instead of the redirection. And so it's like, how is it that you're interested in, you want that acceptance from someone that you're not even really that interested in? So it just took me a minute to kind of work through what I was truly feeling, and why I was accepting the things that I was accepting at the time. And so once I was able to kind of work through that and pinpoint, like, it really was me.
Right.
It wasn't them. It really was me. Then, you know, it was good. I'm all right. So I got out of my way, to say the least. I've gotten out of my way. So, yeah.
Okay. Obi, were you going to say something? You look like you had something to say.
No, not. I was just listening to
Okay.
a story, and I didn't want to ask a question just yet.
Okay. I want to know if you could expound a little bit on like what being that girl like looked like or sounded like or felt like. What kind, do you have like any examples that you can give of things that you did or said to be the person that you weren't?
Yeah. So, I have pretty much all my life been, I mean, if you ask my sister, like the good kid, I've always wanted to follow the rules, do what I knew to do, be who I knew to be. And sometimes, like I had my, what I would consider my non-negotiables and my high preference list, but I would compromise on those things. So like if it was someone who I was attracted to, and interested in, I would find that, I'm like, oh, well, they drink a little heavy, but I would find myself making excuses for them because of the attraction. And so I often found that if I wasn't attracted to you, it didn't matter. It would be like I just didn't accept any of it. But if I was attracted to you, then I was like, well, maybe it's not that terrible or whatever. But I think just over the time, I just realized that I really feel good about who I am. I feel good about doing the right thing. I don't care to be called a Miss Goody Two Shoes. I used to hate that, but I used to get that all the time. And it's not like a, hey, look at what I can do type thing, but I just enjoy feeling good about what I do, how I make people feel. And so it might be like, oh yeah, I'll come and hang out over here with you. And it might be somewhere that I really am not comfortable being at, but I would go because I wanted them to see like, hey, at least she's trying, or she's flexible, or she could be, spontaneous, which I am, but I'm just spontaneous. My thought process is different when I think of spontaneous. You know what I'm saying? I'm that girl that's like, oh, let me pack a backpack today and go to the airport and see where I can go. Not like, let's get in the car and drive 100 miles an hour and see how quick we can take this corner. So, so yeah, like that, like just compromising on what I know was right and not right.
Okay.
So for me,
I got a quick question for you. Are there some things that you didn't do, or like some things that you wish you would have done, that you never got a chance to do? When it comes to like relationships, since we're on that topic right now?
I would have to say no. I don't think that there's anything that I wish I would have done in a relationship. And I guess the biggest thing that I guess I would have done is I guess I would have seen the things that I saw later. I think I wish that my eyes were opened a little sooner than they were, to who I was, so that I wouldn't have the different areas in my life. I always say like, oh, I had the liar of my life. And so even though he was a true liar, I mean, the things that he came up with and that he believed, it wasn't so much about him being the liar as much as it was about why I believed them. Because it seemed like once I had like that epiphany about the one, every other one was like, boom, 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 boom. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, so it was more or less like what was going on with me that I would even believe that. So.
Gotcha.
And was that a lot of that because of the attraction that you had towards them? Like the physical attraction?
No, a lot of it was more because maybe I lost a sense of who I was at the time. Because I love love. I love being in a relationship. I was looking for that. And I hate to say it, but it was almost like I was more attracted to the ones who were hurting the most. And so it was like the more hurt you were, the more I felt like, just let me help you. Let me show you what it feels like to be loved. Maybe that is the difference that you don't know, especially when you listen to people's story, you get all caught up. I guess now they have a term, they call it trauma bonding or whatever, And so I'm a helper. And and in my process of learning who I am and going through therapy, like I learned that some of the abuse and stuff that I sustained as like a child, bringing that childhood trauma into it, that desiring for someone to save me. So now I was feeling like, well, let me not leave them to themselves. Let me be there for them. Like I wish someone was there for me,
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
So Angel, what was the last straw for you that made you legit be like, you know what, I deserve better than this?
Um, Honestly, I guess the hurt. As much as I have been hurt, I knew that it wasn't love or even marriage that did it. It was more or less my choice because I had a choice in the matter. Um, but I think for me, it was mostly just realizing that because I don't require much doesn't mean that I had to accept the bare minimum.
Mm.
And I was accepting the bare minimum because I don't require a whole lot. But unfortunately, some people's bare minimum wasn't even to the standard of which I deserve. And so once I realized that, and that's an ongoing fight. Like if you was looking at my bathroom right now, like I literally have a sticky note posted on my mirror that says, "Stop accepting the bare minimum.
Mhm.
Treat yourself better. Like treat yourself how you want others to treat you." Like I'm constantly having a reminder, having to look at those things to remind myself that yeah, I do deserve it. You know. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's huge. Has it been like a long period of time since you have like changed and moved forward, or is it something that is like more of a recent development? And what
Um,
did that transition look like for you?
so for me, it was definitely getting therapy and coming away from, I guess, not really coming away from the desire, but figuring out like what those feelings were, because of course I also grew up in an era where it was like I wasn't really shown how to feel, like what my feelings were. I was never asked like, well, how did this make you feel, or how did that make you feel? And so for a long time they were just all over the place and I just was attaching things, people, whatever to it. It is not, I won't say it's as recent, but I will say that it's still a work in process. I will say that it's an everyday thing. And so now my perspective on even like relationships, when I meet people, my thought process has changed. Even though I desire a relationship, when I meet someone, I'm not automatically thinking like, oh, maybe they could be. I'm now thinking like, what is the purpose of you in my life? So that I can make sure not to blur the lines. So that if they're just there to be a cool friend or a resource or a connection, then I can keep, a clear head about what their purpose is in my life. And I don't have to do a bunch of backtracking. So, yeah.
I like that.
So,
Okay, I
yeah.
have a question. With everything that you just said, do you think you can tell, are you in a place now where you can tell if somebody just wants to be a friend or if they want more, or if they're in like an investigative stage of trying to get to know who you are before they make their own decisions? Because a lot of times when people in a relationship, they jump into it, especially if they're like a hopeless romantic, without doing the legwork or the vetting process that they should do.
I am in that place now because it's not like a kind of like a 2 mile horn, but sometimes it's like I have found that guys that find me that want to talk to me, they don't really want to get to know me. They kind of see like the outer shell. They might see what I'm doing. And that has been my previous experience since why I was married at 23 years old. It was more or less because it was cool at 23 to have someone kind of lightweight infatuated with you. You know what I'm saying? Dress you up, take you around, show you off, like this is my girl. And and I have, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a nonprofit called More Than My Pretty Face. And it kind of stems around the idea that, I mean, I used to have a guy who said, just be pretty. Like, just basically like, just be pretty.
Wow.
Because he was challenged by what I knew. And, he actually said to me, like, I mean, I want to share things with you, but every time I want to share something that I've learned with you, you already know it. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that I love random stuff. I just know a lot of random stuff that because I enjoy learning and reading and keeping up. So then I had started to find that I would downplay when they would come around and be like, oh my God, I learned this today, blah, 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 and this, and did you know? And I would be like, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, oh wow, like, okay, well talk, but I knew it. And I'm just like, but I'm more than that. I'm a
Right.
lot of different things. Like I'm not a dumb girl. And I think that sometimes when people look at you and you look a certain way or you carry yourself a certain way, they think that you're not intelligent or that
Mhm.
there's just not a lot of substance to you. And I have a lot of substance. And so I'm often told that I'm intimidating, and where I'm like, well, how? How am I intimidating? I know I'm 6'1.5", and I know I'm a big girl, but how am I intimidating? Because and so I don't know, Ed, Obi, can you tell me like why you think guys would be intimidated?
And
Um,
one second,
I,
Obi, before you answer that, I just want to let the people that are recently tuning in that today we are talking about getting in your own way. And Angel is sharing her story of how she's gotten in her own way in the past and how she's overcoming it. Obi?
okay, I'll just give you a couple of quick ones. The way you talk, people don't know how to respond to intelligent women.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
sometimes.
um,
Okay.
the way you look, somebody could be intimidated by it. They don't know what to say to you. They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know how to pick your brain. You're 6 feet. That could be intimidating to somebody that's 5'8". I'm just saying. That's just a couple of quick ones. You got a lot going on, and I'm not saying it in a bad way. You're intelligent. You got your stuff together. The average guy is going to be afraid of that, and he's not going to want to know how to approach you, how to deal with you, how to date you, how to love you, because you got all your shit together. Excuse my French.
The thing is, though, it's so frustrating because I am probably one of the simplest people in the world. I really enjoy the simple things. I am that girl. You can do a picnic on the middle of the living room floor, and I would be excited about that. Like, I'm super simple. I don't shop. I don't have any, like, like these expensive taste things. Like, I'm super simple. I just really enjoy a good conversation and love. Like, and so, yeah, but now that I'm learning these things about myself. And it's crazy because one of the purposes of even my program is to teach these young girls on how to find certain things so that they're not in their 30s, 40s, 50s,
Mhm.
still trying to learn and figure out their value, their worth, and who they are and who they're not. Because that's
Hmm.
one of the most important. It's not about who you are, it's also about who you're not. Because
Yeah.
when you know who you're not, I feel like you don't compromise so much on who you are, because you're like, when someone says, oh, do you want, or can I, or whatever, you can say no. Like, that's not who I am. You don't have to think like, oh, well, maybe I might go, or maybe I can come, or, maybe I would try. And you can just say, like, and I'm not saying just be shut off from anything, but just when you know who you're not, it's easier.
Yeah.
Right.
And let me jump into the comments real
Oh,
quick, but
and
I do
Obi,
want to.
before you, Obi, can I say something before you jump
Yeah.
into the
Go ahead.
comments? Sorry. Um, I want to do it like Ed does it, but I want to add my own flavor. Um, so Facebook, right now, we're about to stop this live stream. So if you want to hear more on Angel's story of how she's gotten in her own way, head over to YouTube. There's a link in there's a link online for you. Just click the link and head over to YouTube. All right, Obi.
All right. I'll read the comments real quick, and then we'll go to Sheena. Um, And the comments are all about you, of course, Angel. But one person said, if you don't feel good about yourself, ain't nobody gonna feel good about you. Another person said, we fall in love with the idea of fixing people, and that's true.
Yeah.
Um, and another commenter said, only constant we can be assured of change. Another commenter said, intellect in a woman is definitely a goal. Like, I think that's super sexy, super attractive. Um, And the last comment I'm gonna read, it says marriage is more like financially, or just to say I have a husband or wife, than just really loving and knowing your partner nowadays. Um, and I want to bring this up just because we're talking about it. But did you guys see the story that Shawnee O'Neal put out recently about the things that Shaq had going on?
Mm-mm.
Okay, anyway, she put out a story about her and Shaq, and she didn't know who he was, and how like he would be gone missing for days, and she didn't know, she didn't question him, she didn't try to pick up the phone and call him. And I just think that that's kind of crazy. Last comment, it says an average guy would be intimidated to match what you're doing if they don't have their stuff together as a man, and that's a fact. All right, Sheena, what you got?
So from what I'm hearing, Angel, it seemed like a lot of guys basically um judge you off of your outer appearance, and they didn't really like get to know the inside, Angel, and like how you are as a person on the inside. They just viewed the outside and was just, get their own basic interpretation of you.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's crazy because, and I'm not saying this in a way, but most of the men who actually did get to know me are kind of like, oh dang, like you dope. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And it took me a long time, but it took me a minute to get to that. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll use it as like a way to describe myself. I'm like, I'm a dope 6 foot Wonder Woman, and but
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to wear this cape. I'm over it. Like I want to leave the cape at work where I have to be the boss, but when I come home, I don't want to be the boss like that. And so it just it is a sad thing, but even like you, Ob, when you were talking about like having your stuff together, and the thing is that as a man, like if you're I guess it's across the board. If your thought process is that immediately, like you definitely are not the person. If you're intimidated by what I have, how
Mm-hmm.
intelligent you think I am, or whatever, I just feel like you shouldn't step, you know. Um, and so I don't really know, Sheena. Like I have I just try to be who I am, but I like thank it, God. Like, and I do, like I love love. So it's not about the process of saying like, oh, I got a man or I got a husband or whatever. Like I really am, desiring that relationship and that connection, that bond, that to know you type thing. Cause you got me and I got you just as much. So
Hey y'all and fellas, she really is dope. I'll just say this off the record, even though I'm online. The first conversation that I had with Angel, really, the first deep conversation I had with her was when me, her, and Ed went to lunch, and she really is super dope. Just the conversation was flowing. She's super nice. She's compassionate. She understands. She was asking us some dope questions. Yeah,
you out there petitioning for me, Ovi?
I'm just saying, fellas. I'm just saying.
No, thank you. Thank you.
So with the transformation that's been made, and I know in the past you sometimes when the physical attraction was there, you let some of your guards down or weren't always standing on the red flags that you saw. Like how do you handle that differently now? If you were dating somebody that you're attracted to and then these red flags start coming out, like what actions would you take now that you're equipped with this knowledge and self-esteem to not go backwards?
I think just like I said to you, is just understanding what the purpose of the relationship is, um, and just having my non-negotiables and my high preferences, and just not backing down on those, not compromising on them. And it's funny because you say like the red flags, but sometimes I often feel like we see the yellow first And I remember hearing saying that those who compromise on the red flags are the same ones who who speed up to get through the yellow light. And so I think that is something that I had done like in the past, but I think now the thing that I'm doing is just focusing on like, okay, who am I? What is it that I want? And does our vision and mission align? Because I know who I am. I know who I am in Christ. Like, I love going to church. I love, being there. I love serving. I love worshiping, but I especially love serving and giving of my time. I'm super compassionate to people. I just care. Someone asked me, what would I be doing all day? I'm like, if I could spend the day encouraging people, that is what I would do all day long. And so finding someone who is our vision and our mission in life is, to me, really important now, where before, like, oh, it's cool if they don't do this. It's cool if they don't do that. But I tried that and it just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work. And I've tried. I can let people be who they are, but if they're not my person, I'm not going to try to make this circle fit into that square peg,
Yeah,
So,
I can definitely appreciate that. Have you ever thought, like, in your current stage of like having your non-negotiables and things, that they are too high, or that you need to compromise on some things, or that you have some standards that are like unattainable?
no. No, because so this will tell you, like, my top non-negotiable is smoking. Okay, just cannot do smoking. I don't like it, but then I have some childhood trauma from smoking where that whole I literally feel like I can't breathe. So I can tell if you do. Plus, a smoker's kiss is disgusting to me. So that, and then you definitely have to have a relationship with Christ. That's super important to me. That's a non-negotiable. And really, like, kind of outside of that, yes, be kind, be gentle, have a good job, be considerate, and be intuitive. That's the one thing that I think I miss the most. And I don't know, OB, if most men can be intuitive.
Mature men, yes.
By paying attention. But just pay attention.
It's not that hard.
Pay attention, because most women that I find, I mean, there are the exception to the rule, are super simple. Mostly if you listen to us, we tell you exactly what it is that we want. And I think that sometimes men want to go out of the way and they want to give us more. But I don't know that I've ever heard of a man, I know that there's an exception, but where you do exactly what your significant other asks, and then we ask you, well, why didn't you do more? And I try to explain it in the way of like, I used to have these guy clients, and his girlfriend of like 14 years just wanted to be married. And she's like, I just want to be married. I've had 2 children for you. And so he was working on all these projects, and she was like, I don't care. We can go downtown and get married. And he's like, no, I know she wants a big ring, and I know she wants a big wedding. And I said, well, what did she say? Well, she just said we can go to the courthouse. And she said, okay. Then take her to the courthouse. No, because she knows, but really it was because he really wasn't ready. But he used what he thought she wanted. And so I told him, I said, it's like this. If I leave out of the house in the morning and I see the garbage is overflowing, I might say to you, hey, babe, can you take the trash out? And you're like, yeah, I got you. And I come home and you cooked, you cleaned, you vacuumed, but that trash is still falling over against the wall. I'm gonna thank you for doing all those things, but I still might ask you what happened to the trash. And then I'm gonna be considered as being inconsiderate or not, I can never get pleased or never, I'm not grateful. But if I come home and all you did was take the trash out because that was the eyesore, it's like I'm not going to ask you why you didn't cook, why you didn't vacuum, why you didn't clean, because in my mind, I'm coming home to do that anyways. And so I just think that sometimes if it's a give and take. I mean, I think it's on both sides, but I think that if most men really just listened to what it is that the girl or their significant other is asking them for, then there would probably be less frustrating nights.
Mm-hmm. I
Hey,
totally
I
agree.
wanted to ask you, you made a comment about red flags. We don't have time to do that right now, but you mentioned the word about a high potential man. Can you explain
A
to
high
our
what?
viewers? You said something about a high potential man. You said something about high potential. I may have the last word wrong.
Uh, no, not high potential.
It was high something.
I know that a lot of people are talking about those. What do they call the men, Kyra? Now the high value.
Oh,
High
oh
value. It might
yeah,
have been high value. Yeah.
high
Okay.
value.
My bad. I had the word wrong. Yeah. Can you
I
explain what
remember
that
saying
means?
that, but
I didn't say that because I don't believe that. I feel like, it's just a term that they started putting on people. And then unfortunately, people take that and feel like there's an expectation or that they should, they have this high privilege or whatever. Because I feel like I'm a high value woman. I feel like Sheena's a high value woman. I feel like Kyra's a high value woman. I feel like you're a high value man. I feel like we are who we desire to be. And we shouldn't, as people, uh, say who is worth it and who isn't, because I feel like everyone is to their own point of who they interact with. I don't know if that made any sense, but
yeah, I
that's how.
hear what you're saying. I feel like there are some different high value men that are out there. I like to use the term high quality man for me personally because like there's high value man that went viral with I can't remember his name in terms of making a certain amount of salary, being accepted by other high value men, and there's like a couple different things and qualities to meet that threshold of that particular man. And to me, I think there's like a high quality man. And it might not mean that you're making six figures. It might not mean that you own multiple properties,
Mhm.
but you have your stuff together. You have morals, you have ethics, you have
Mhm.
values.
Mhm.
You can keep a job, you can communicate effectively. You can be committed and in a relationship, you're able to hold a conversation and things like that. And I think that sometimes people um, think that they are a certain value and
Mhm.
they're not. But I'm a little bit more on the judgmental side, so I be
Mm,
judging people.
tell the truth. Tell the truth.
And there's certain people that it's just like, while I understand that you view yourself that way, I don't view yourself, I don't view you the same way, and it's a no for me.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
so
And
yeah.
maybe that's my problem because,
You don't have
I
a house.
do
I'm
want
not
all of
judging
those things.
you. No job, no judgment. Come on.
Mm, mm, mm. Hey, I'm gonna read a few more of these comments.
Okay.
Because one thing I do want to do is plug the dating show that Angel is going to help us with, and I want Angel to just talk a little bit about that. Yeah, I am. All right, had a commenter um, that says you got to shoot your shot to win. Another commenter that says you grow, mature, and put effort and love. Um, had another comment that said that's why Jada married Will, not because she loved him, but she just because she knew where he was at and what her future would look like.
Mm.
Um, Another comment that said some people see in relationships or get in relationships out of convincing and not love. Um, Another comment that says I think a lot of men, but not all, but a lot are emotionally unavailable. They create
Hmm.
space. They create space for a woman's feelings. Do you guys, Sheena, do you agree with that? That a lot of men are not emotionally available, but they just create space for like a woman's feelings?
Um, I do feel like a lot of men are emotionally unavailable, and or cannot. I wouldn't say cannot, aren't able to successfully express their emotions and their feelings.
Okay. Kyra, your thoughts?
Um, that question kind of triggered like what Angel had said earlier about a man needing to be intuitive and just listening. I think that it's equally important, in addition to listening, is to communicating effectively and asking different questions,
Mm,
to listen to the answers, like, how are you feeling? Or what can I do to help you? Or what are your goals that you're working on this month? And how can I assist you? Just really being in tune with the person that you're in a relationship with. And so, yeah, I do agree. I
Okay.
do agree.
All right. And Angel, do you have anything else you want to say about how you got in your own way in your life?
No, not really, but that I, as well as just as quickly as I got in my own way, I'm getting out. So, you know, I desire a lot of things, and that's what I'm working towards. I'm open. Sheena?
I have one more question for you. What would the person that you are now, what would you tell the younger version of you?
The younger version in reference to relationships, or the younger version just in life? Because in life, probably have to tell her that, girl, you gonna make it. Because
Hmm.
time when I didn't think I was going to make it, and I would go back and tell her, you're gonna make it, and that, you're important, you're worthy, and don't compromise. And of course, those are all things because we're learning, but they're all things that I just wish that someone would have showed me, not told me. Someone would have showed me earlier in life. And that's the thing. Like, people told me a lot of things growing up. Not any of which I'm learning now, but I just feel like it would have made a difference because I was that child that listened. I was that person that if you told me, don't do
Hmm.
this because of X, Y, and Z, got it, noted. So I learned a lot by what I saw. I watched a lot of stuff, and some stuff, it was like, oh, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to treat someone like that. I'm never going to talk to someone like that. And some of it was, okay, yeah, that's good. Let me hold on to that. But it wasn't necessarily good for me. Just was more of a protective measure for me. So,
Right. And I want to applaud you for the change that you made and being able to like implement that, for the affirmations that you have to be able to keep it going and look at that daily. I want to ask one last question before we end, or a request. Can you share? Because you mentioned it's one thing to do something, it's another thing for me to impact people's life. And starting a nonprofit organization isn't something that's easy. There's all these steps and loopholes and different processes that you have to go through. So, if you could share briefly, again, the name of your nonprofit, the website, and the reason that you started it, those
yes,
types.
absolutely. So it's called More Than My Pretty Face. And it essentially is for teenage girls, the ages of 13 to 18. I started it because I wanted to give girls the opportunity to learn things much earlier in life. So we teach them a lot of basic life skills, but we mostly open it up for space for them to be vulnerable and share, all while giving them tools to just encourage their journey on self-discovery. So, and I love it. I've been doing it now for 3 years. I've been mentoring for a long time, but my nonprofit's been around for 3 years. You can find it at morethanmyprettyface.org. And we have a new batch every year, but we celebrate them. I'm super excited. We're having Mother's Day brunch this weekend with the moms. But yeah, I wish that I had this when I was younger. Someone to believe in me, someone to talk to, and someone to give me those hard truths much, much earlier in life. So I just feel like there's some things that I wouldn't have had to experience had someone told me earlier.
Right. Well, I definitely appreciate that. Make sure that you all tune in for part 4 of the series, which is going to be me sharing about how I get in my way. And
I cannot wait.
I can't wait.
Make sure
I can't wait.
like and click like, subscribe, and share. And
hey, before you go, I need to plug the dating show that we're gonna have. We're gonna have a dating show in a couple of months.
Hold on, if the noise can stop in the background.
Okay. Well, that's you doing the noise. That's you making the noise.
It's not me. My hands are right here. Right here.
Yeah, the noise is not going on, so it was you. But anyway, yeah, watch out for the dating show we're gonna have. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be fire. Angel, if you need somebody to kind of be some butlers or waiters on that day, let me and Ed know. We'll be available.
Wait, on whose date?
The Mother's Day brunch. You know, we got you.
Oh, the Mother's Day brunch.
We'll do it for free.
I got you.
Volunteered 2 people. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for being active in the comments. We look forward to seeing you next week on next week's show. And we appreciate you. I'm not going to say Ed's thing because that's Ed. I'm going to just end it like this. Thanks for tuning in.
I think my baby hot. Don't speak to any moment.